This show is brought to you by IndyWrestling.us. Check out IWC, RWA, and more. Click the Fight TV link on WrestlingMayhemShow.com to support this show and watch pro wrestling, MMA, boxing, and so much more. And listeners like you, support this show at Patreon.com/Wrestling Mayhem Show.
Hungry as fuck, but I ain't starving yet. Paying for the pain, cocktail dollar set. Never said I was a gangster or thug, but I'm an animal. Beating for the taste of the blood.
Hey guys, Mike Sorgat, Sorgatron on the Twitter. Here is the Indy Mayhem Show, where we talk about indie wrestling with indie wrestlers and people around wrestling in general. You can check out the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and video versions on the Wrestling Mayhem Show Facebook and YouTube page. And please support the show, patreon.com/Wrestling Mayhem Show. We always like to, get some new people on every once in a while. We've been, of course, following the careers as they've grown of some of those names that are getting pretty popular, like Britt Baker and Delilah Doom. Just saw Instagram with Delilah Doom with so many belts going on down there. So good to see them and even popping up on Raw. So it's time to bring somebody new in, and that is Jinx joining us in the studio. How you doing, Jinx?
Good. How are you?
Good. So Jinx has just debuted here with the International Wrestling Cartel. The fortune to film one of your first matches at Proving Ground just a couple months ago, right?
Yeah,
So,
February.
So we'll get into that and kind of your time there and in the ring so far and everything. But first, kind of how did you get into wrestling? What's kind of your earliest memory of pro wrestling?
Well, I guess long story as summarized as possible. I got into wrestling when I maybe like the start of middle school. I was super anxious kid, did not want to talk to anyone. Ended up starting doing online and homeschool because of it. And in that time was like the heyday beginning of YouTube, where they did not check like copyright or anything. So basically just everything ever was on YouTube. And somehow from there, I ended up just going into watching wrestling constantly with all of my middle school, homeschool, didn't want to go outside time. And fell in love with it from that. For some reason, I never wanted to tell my family that I liked wrestling, so that's why I only watched it on YouTube. Fun fact, no one in my family ever knew I even liked or knew anything about professional wrestling until I told them that I was going to start training.
So were you secretly watching it on YouTube in the bedroom,
I would just spend,
on your computer?
I would just find all the time, like, on my computer, looking up wrestling matches, everything, like, old, current, everything like that. So for someone that's only 21, I have a vast knowledge of wrestling.
Because you didn't really have a linear, like, I started in the Attitude Era and watched X, Y, and Z.
No, I think that's what's weird about, like, my pro wrestling watching experience, is that I didn't really have a, like, oh, this is the first thing I remember ever watching, blah, blah, blah. It just kind of all, like, came into me at once, because I found it via the internet. So, I spent a lot of time watching, like, ECW, stuff like that, older, just anything that I could find, really, I would watch, because, again, at that time, there was no copyright, so like, everything was there.
Do you have an idea, like, what attracted you at first? Like, was it a WWE match? Was it an ECW? Was it some kind of weird ultra-violent thing or something? Or
no, I don't really remember what originally. I feel like it was probably just like randomly clicking through as you do on the YouTubes. But
you just one night you went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, exactly. It was the beginning of going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I think definitely the originals that I ended up really loving were Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. And then I always say I love Tajiri. Love Tajiri, Chris Benoit, everything like that. I started with that, and then what made me really fall in love with, like, the emotional aspect of the storytelling of professional wrestling was Mick Foley, people like that. So I feel like I definitely, Tommy Dreamer, that made me really fall in love with, like, the storytelling aspect of, like, oh, I want to be a part of being able to tell that story, not just watch it. So, yeah, I feel like I have a very vast plate of people that I love in wrestling that make no sense. Just like everyone for so many different reasons. Which, yeah.
So how did you go from that to saying, I want to get in the ring, I want to do this, I want to, get involved?
Well, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, I started actually doing pole dance classes. And from that, you get so much body strength doing that. Like, after doing that for like a year and a half or so, I became really fit, like super fit, really good endurance. And from there, that built the confidence of myself athletically that I was like, I can do this.
And you weren't like athletic in school or anything like that?
I was a dancer and a gymnast, but as far as like gym class athletics, hell no. Hell no. I was so bad at stuff like that, but I was a dancer and a gymnast as a child. I just I didn't grow into it as much. It was more when I was like younger.
Okay. And you went from there, and how did you come across a wrestling school?
By dumb luck. Literally Google. Like, I just got so lucky at being able. It was what was closest for me to drive to, and I ended up just being right place, right time, and finding IWC.
So you did you find it from like going to the shows or?
No, literally just like Googling, trying to figure out if there was anywhere that I could like train in professional wrestling around where I was, and just by dumb luck, that's how I found IWC. I really didn't have I had a little bit of knowledge of like Ring of Honor, things like that, but nothing really like indie wrestling. So it wasn't like going to shows or anything at all, because I didn't really have anyone that I shared liking pro wrestling with at all. So it wasn't like I had anyone that was like, let's go to a show or something like that. It was me being creepy in my dark room watching YouTube.
So you went from that to training with IWC. I believe you're part of Chris LeRusso's class, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what was there a bit of shock about what was involved in this, or you had a good idea from YouTube?
No, I mean, it's definitely a different world. I mean, obviously. But I think it was something that I came in with a really good group of people. And I just somehow fell into it really well. Definitely, it's really tough and it's a lot of work. But it gave me something to focus on and strive for. And like I said, it was just a group of good people to fall back on as well. People that I knew would come to my house and find me if I ever quit. So... I think a lot of it was getting really lucky, definitely, and then finding something that I was really passionate about.
You can definitely tell, because being at the shows filming, like we kind of keep an eye on like who's setting up the ring and stuff. You can kind of tell when there's going to be a lot of good stuff out in the class about how serious they are during those, because like I've seen like a couple of the trainees going like they're shooting hoops while everybody else is trying to set stuff up and put out chairs, and I have not seen them on the roster, or maybe even after that show. Like it's very 1-to-1 what we see there versus what comes out in the ring. And I think this proving ground, I was very impressed with how many students came out, and you didn't see any huge missteps. Yeah. As far as like, it seemed like almost the entire class.
We were told that by a lot of people, which made me really happy with not just me, but everyone else. And it made me like, I hope that we made Chris proud. It's like one of his first big training class. As most people were like, there's usually at least like one match where you're like, that didn't come out of it. I'm sure you've seen them.
I've had to edit a missed drop kick out of a proving ground once.
And you're like, oh no. But
like there's always that one match where you're just like, oh, not sure about that one,
Oh, I don't want to put this online.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, do I have to include this match?
Oh, no.
Would anybody miss it, right?
Yeah.
That certainly happens, especially this proving ground is kind of the I guess only because I do one of these shoots for my cousin's businesses, like kind of the dance recital show piece, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's on a much bigger scale than a lot of people that are just starting in professional wrestling get to debut on.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's a show where, well, even just looking behind you, I have the Proving Ground poster up off camera, and then right beside it is 2 shows afterwards has like Ricky Steamboat on it, you know?
Which is
So,
mind-blowing.
yeah,
It's so
yeah.
weird.
Well, it seems that you get a lot of opportunities with that too. I
Yeah.
mean, just being around backstage,
Meet a lot of cool
setting up the
people.
ring, like a lot of people come through the IWC International Wrestling Cartel. Is there anything that kind of seminars or anything like that that really kind of stuck out with you over the year or so you've been training?
I really enjoyed learning from the first seminar that I did was with DJ Z. It was very, very early into me training. So basically everything that he did in the ring went right over my head because it's DJ Z and he's a freaking god in the ring. So he was going in there like, yeah, guys, you just like do this, and then you turn over like this and it's perfect.
Yeah.
And we were all like, oh, I'm scared to death. But as soon as he got out and was like breaking down matches with us and telling us about things to think about and things to work on, that was stuff that really, really helped me a lot. Ray Rowe was really cool to learn from. He didn't do anything in ring at all. He just talked to us a lot. And he was the one that originally, like I was saying earlier, said that moves don't matter. He was the one that originally was like, you can do anything, like, as long as you get people emotionally invested, which that really stuck with me. Done a lot of cool seminars. Billy Gunn, he obviously taught us a lot, but for me, that was more of just like the culture shock of being like, oh my god, I'm in a ring with Billy Gunn. I was like, there's a picture that they posted on Twitter that had me dying because I'm just sitting there. I look like I'm staring lovingly at Billy Gunn. I'm just sitting there like, but really in my mind, I was like, oh my god, it's Billy Gunn. Like, it's very surreal, and it's one of those things that it doesn't hate you. It doesn't hate you when it's happening, but later you'll be like, I'm doing all of this. This is like, my 12-year-old self would not believe that for a second, that I've done any of this, which is really cool to be able to, whether it's like anything, it's cool to say that I've been a part of so many things that I've never even thought about being able to do in the darkness of my room on YouTube.
I love that everything goes back to in the darkness of my room on YouTube.
And because I was such like an anxious little, like I was super, super socially anxious. Dog. But
It's okay.
I will say that I told the dog that he was my boyfriend now earlier, and he immediately ran away from me.
Yes.
We were cuddling, and then I was like, oh, you're my boyfriend now. And he was like, we have to go.
Yep. The podcast dog. Well, anyways, speaking of Proving Grounds, I hear some images for you guys. They're online of how that went for you. Of course, with the win over Samantha Heights, somebody who's been around for a good while in the area in women's wrestling.
Pretty cool. I need to work on updating my Facebook with cool stuff now more.
Well, you'll have a match sooner or later as soon as I get that edited. But
I'm better at Instagram. I don't know why. I'm better at Twitter because I like live blogging my life.
Well, if I can say, putting on my producer hat.
Yeah.
You've been tagged in the video and everything for Facebook. And once we get everything finalized and put together, Twitter and Facebook, you'll get some notifications and
nice.
Yep,
That's good.
Definitely. This will help with that.
Because I'm bad at Facebook for some reason. I'm like, it's hard to be like, hey guys, like my page. I'm a professional wrestler.
Those of you in the chat. Those of you in the chat, this is a good time for you to go like her page.
Go like my page. Love me.
Wrestling's Jinx, if you're looking for the username out there,
Yes.
because there's a few Jinxes out there apparently.
Yeah, that was my original thing. It was hard for me to consider like putting together like handles and stuff like that because I was like, it's really easy for this name to get lost in the mix. So I knew that I had to get some cool catchphrases and stuff like that, but it came to me pretty well because I feel like
Let's talk a little bit about in ring here. You know, kind of the by imagery, you guys can you got kind of a different look to you and everything, and really kind of a different style in there. That's a lot of fun too.
Thank you. Yeah. I have learned to embrace it as calling it kind of like a. I'm basically like if My Little Pony met a murder scene.
And she's wearing a Care Bear shirt in
Yeah.
studio, by the way. So
All I do is talk about serial killers and wear bright colors. And in ring, I like to turn that up to 1,000,000 because, you know, got to make it larger than life.
absolutely,
And I enjoy doing that, bring it all out to the surface because I didn't want to be I feel like being the dark, brooding, crazy girl, that doesn't fit me. Not only is that like generic at this point, but it also just doesn't fit me to be like that.
right, especially in an age where we have Wyatts and things like that.
Yeah.
and whatever they're doing on TNA.
I didn't want to be like discount AJ Lee and Paige, you know?
Right, exactly.
That plus, you know, it just didn't fit me. To get all black and come to the ring looking angry. It doesn't work. So yeah, I love character aspects. I love promos and stuff like that. I'm excited to get more into like being more character oriented because that's a lot of fun for me. I like building on it.
Awesome. So there's several questions I won't ask on the show that are popping up in the chat. But in case there's something here, they want me to ask you about Joe Rogers.
What body look like? What happening? What's going on?
Okay.
Everything I know about Joe Rogers, I learned from Daniel Hooven.
Okay. All right. He's out there.
I know you're there. I know you're asking all of it.
And what's up, Justin Idol out there as well?
Oh, hi, Justin Idol. He taught me his death cardio drill once. I don't know if he remembers
Death
it.
cardio drill.
Yeah, he does death cardio, and I think he taught us like the little kid version of it, but I still do it.
So
LA
baby
Fitness.
death cardio?
Yeah, it was
right?
baby death cardio. It was death cardio for minors. But yeah, hi Justin Idol.
Awesome. Cardio hell, he says in the chat. Right?
Yes, cardio hell.
So,
Yeah, we did it once, and I still do it in Planet Fitness, like every time I go in, and people give me weird looks, but it's okay because it works.
So as we were talking about beforehand, you know, you've had 2 matches with IWC, you had a couple with Black Diamond as well, so you're 4 matches in here.
Yeah.
Kind of, what is the biggest thing that kind of surprised you from actually getting out there in front of people?
It goes much faster than you'd expect it to. For me, like I said, I've been a kind of like very anxious. I'm a energy pixie stick, so my resting heart rate is panic attack. So I get really nervous really easily. And I know that when we do just like practice matches in a little warehouse with like just us there, sometimes it would feel like it dragged on forever because you're like so scared of what's happening next, what you're doing. And but once you get out there in front of people, for some reason it's so much easier. It's such a different aspect. I'm very surprised at how different it is, I guess, than anything that you learn in training. It doesn't compare to going out there. It's very interesting.
What are your goals at this point?
Really, my goals are to just keep improving, keep getting in experience, and whatever comes along, comes along. But I'm not really sitting here thinking like, oh, I want to go to like Ring of Honor, WWE, anything like that. For me, right now, I'm just kind of focusing on getting as much experience as I can, maybe doing more like managing roles and stuff like that, because like I said, I like doing characters. I like cutting promos and things like that. I can be the brightly colored sinister minister for anyone that needs me. But yeah, really getting any experience that I can is my main goal right now.
Awesome.
Learning.
So what are you watching these days?
Wrestling wise?
And is it still in the dark on YouTube?
Yes, absolutely. 100% because I don't have a television.
You haven't upgraded to New Japan World or WWE Network?
I have the network. I have the network. I do.
It's like a cleaner YouTube.
Exactly. Absolutely. Or like a cleaner finding things illegally. But yeah, I do have the network. I like Ring of Honor a lot. I find Ring of Honor from a wrestling aspect is really cool. I really liked the latest the New Japan friggin' the Wrestle Kingdom. I was like, what is the word that I'm looking for? Wrestle Kingdom blew my mind. That was pretty awesome to watch. That wasn't lately, but I'm still very in my old mindset of just like keeping up with whatever I can find. I don't really stick to like watching things as they come out for some reason, but mainly because I get distracted so easily. But yeah, I like to watch whatever I can find. I've been watching Lucha Underground lately because it came out on Netflix. I do have Netflix.
As one should do.
As one should.
Do.
As one
yes.
should. Yeah, Lucha Underground's awesome. I love it because it's basically just a soap opera with really good wrestling involved. So it's really fun. But yeah, I keep up with a little bit of everything. Try my best.
Awesome. So what's the best and worst thing so far about indie wrestling, or even the training leading up to it?
The best thing is definitely just the experience as a whole. Just learning from everything, meeting so many different people, and the weird stories and fun things you get out of it. And the worst thing was falling in front of Gore Time. That was bad.
Wait, what happened?
Did you see me fall doing a second row crossbody?
I think I missed
because
it.
I was of my blood loss.
No, I missed that.
Well,
we haven't put that online yet. I guess it's in the Facebook Live, but
it's on the Facebook. It was on the pre-show.
Yeah.
I will preface it was still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was still a fun match, and I got cool pictures out of it, and that's what matters.
Wait, is that this? Hold on, this picture from the top here?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
It was inside my lip, so it just bled a lot. It wasn't that bad, but it just bled a lot. And yeah, I got some really badass pictures from it, which is really what matters, isn't it? But
hey, it worked for Foley, so
yeah, exactly. I'm hardcore. But yeah, that wasn't that bad. But I think in the time, all of the like anxiety and the adrenaline, I was just thinking, I was like, it's really gonna suck if I pass out right now. I wasn't even thinking about the fact that it was my mouth that's gonna bleed a lot. I was just like, wow, this is a lot of blood. I could pass out at any second. And then I went to do a crossbody and I just fell.
Well, you learn.
It was people still said that they had fun watching it. People still cheered, and that's really what matters, I had fun doing it. So it happens to everyone.
At least it was a pre-show match, right?
Yeah.
So.
Plus, it's like people do embarrassing stuff in the ring all the time. I feel like the normal wrestling fan, or really anyone in wrestling, everything goes by so fast. You see so many things that we think is the most tragic thing that's ever happened to us, they're not going to remember it in like 5 minutes. Or they don't even know what happened. So, yeah, at the time and for like the first day or so, it was pretty traumatizing. But now I can laugh at it.
Awesome. So where can people find you online?
My Facebook is Yeah, / wrestling's Jinx. My Instagram, which I probably use more frequently than anything, is bloody_adorable. And then my Twitter is bloodyxadorable. Yay. Yeah, that's what I got.
Awesome. Go check her out. She's also part of International Wrestling Cartel and shows up with Black Diamond Wrestling. IWCWrestling.com. A couple of shows coming up here in West Virginia at the Wheeling Casino.
If anything, I'll definitely be there to say hi. Always.
And of course, you'll be around for Night of the Superstar 6 happening in Meadville, PA.
Yeah.
These are, I'm looking over at the poster beside you,
yeah.
April 8th and April 7th. Respectively, for those shows. You can get more information at IWCWrestling.com or check out any other, if you're catching this later, any other IWC shows coming up after that. I'm sure she's going to be popping up a bit on those. So thank you so much for joining us, and check out the wrestling interviews at WrestlingMayhemShow.com. I think over 150 of these we've done for Indy Mayhem Show. Go see him. Baby Britt Baker, baby Delilah Doom, way before anybody knew who they were, and hopefully we'll have you back in a year and have some cool things to talk about too. So
absolutely.
Thank you everybody for joining us, and until next time, please support indie wrestling. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.